Hello and welcome to NOV Live. My name is Shelby Dumaine and I'm your host this morning. We have a really excellent show prepared for you. This, of course, is the show where we talk about the technology of today and we bring that information and that insight to you from the people who know the technology best. So like I said, we have a really great show. Before I introduce our guests, I do want to ask a quick trivia question. If you are joining us online on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or on YouTube, feel free to go in the comments and let us know if you know the answer to this. And I'm excited about this trivia question because it's actually one, if you've been keeping an eye on the NOV social media channels and platforms, you might have seen the answer. So we're asking, what significant milestone did Agitator, the Agitator brand at NOV, did Agitator just reach? So we've posted about this before. If you think you know that significant milestone, go ahead and put it in the comments. And at the end of the show, we'll reveal that answer with our guests. So stick around if you think you know it and play along. But before we get to that trivia question and reveal that answer, we have a really great conversation, as I mentioned. So here in the studio today, we have Danny Perez and Roman Che. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
To start off, before we get into the real topic of the day, AgitatorZP, can you both introduce yourself? We'll start with you, Roman.
Sure. My name is Roman Che. I'm with NOV Downhole product line team. Mm-hmm. I work alongside a great creative team of engineers, and yeah, happy to be here, and hopefully we'll give you an insight into some cool stuff that we are doing.
Definitely. And Danny?
And I'm Danny Perez. I'm the product line director for drilling tools, which includes the drilling agitator, and I'm based out of Parkwood.
Excellent. Like I said, I'm glad to have y'all here because we really have people who, some of the people who know this product the best. So thank you for joining us. And just to start us off, I wanted to ask, what is AgitatorZP? What's so special about it? That's the topic on hand. What is it?
Sure. Yeah, I can take that. Mm-hmm. AgitatorZP, it stands for Agitator Zero Pressure. But before I talk about ZP, I'd like to take a step back and just explain in general for the broader audience what we really do and what's so cool about this technology. Mm-hmm. So while drilling, there are many ways to breaking friction in order to drill farther and faster. Mm-hmm. And NOV Downhole has been very active in that field. In fact, we are a dominant force, and we are really proud of it. Mm-hmm. So, but the problem with breaking friction in these complex long lateral wells is that at times operators run out of standpipe pressure. Mm. So for drilling agitators to perform efficiently, we need to spend some standpipe pressure. And we thought it would be a good idea to come up with something that would generate the same amount of force, enable operators to drill farther, drill faster, and yet that tool wouldn't require any additional pressure drop. So that's how this idea came about.
That's excellent. And you mentioned laterals, but can you talk about what applications the AgitatorZP is used for?
Sure. So when we first came up with this idea, we recognized that there was a wide range of applications where standpipe pressure was a concern for operators. So take, for example, long lateral applications like 2.5, 3 mile laterals. It's not uncommon for operators to dial back their flow rates and sometimes even the motor differential pressure. So that's one potential application for an AgitatorZP. Next, cluster of applications is in those long ERD wells where operators would love to run, let's say, 2 agitators, and while they may have available standpipe for one, they may not necessarily be able to afford a secondary tool in the string. So that secondary tool could be a ZP tool. And there are also, RSS BHAs where MWD, LWD tools require extra pressure drop. So yeah, all of this would be a perfect opportunity for a ZP.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the name AgitatorZP is that ZP zero pressure. I feel like it's clever. It sounds cool, zero pressure, but also it is what it does. So I like that when I was reading kind of about it leading up to the show. So
exactly,
that's really cool. And so Danny, I want to ask you, and I'll maybe start this question with I know it's a very competitive market, so no revealing any of a trade secrets here. But can you tell us how it works at a high level, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, it is a very competitive
Right.
market. As you know, NOV came up with the agitator concept many years ago, but since then there's been many companies that have come up with their own tools trying to emulate what we do. Fortunately, they don't come up to the reliability record and performance that we can deliver with the agitator. But in a nutshell, how it works, if we still have some patents out for filing, so we can be very limited on what we can disclose. However, it's based on the same principle. We are creating friction reduction force and axial displacement that reduces the friction in the wellbore, like Roman said, particularly in directional applications. A lot of the parts of the tool come from previous technologies, the newest technologies like on-demand and surge, and the 190 shock tool, which is our newest agitator systems. Basically, we use that concept. We've increased the efficiency of the tool, and we're actually using about 5 to 6% of the fluid to generate that friction force that we need to make drilling more efficiently. The heart of the tool is really what we bring new to the table, and that's the design that obviously we can't disclose, but I can tell you that so far we're very excited. It's looking great, and the tool is performing quite well so far.
Absolutely. And you mentioned in there other agitators, and I've been here for going on 5 years now, and I've heard of other agitators. So can you talk about how the AgitatorZP differs from other agitators that NOV has to offer?
Absolutely. It's so I think there's a three approach to answer that question. The first one is the application. Obviously, it gives you access to applications that before we couldn't provide an agitator for because of the standpipe pressure limitations. Dual agitators, just like Roman just described. From the technology standpoint, this is our first agitator system that is in a very compact and integrated form. And what I mean by that is that the agitator and the shock tool is integrated into a single component. This tool includes all the lessons learned, design improvements for reliability and performance that we have learned over the last 100,000 plus runs that we've had with the agitator system. It'll come to a surprise to some of our customers because the configuration of the tool has changed a little bit as well. And also from the customer standpoint, right? It gives them that flexibility that they didn't have before, and something that the industry has been asking for a long time, which is, remove that limiting factor, which is the high pressure drop across some of these friction reduction tools.
Interesting. And I know, I'm curious too, we've talked about on the show in the past, we've had a lot of episodes on MWD measurement while drilling and LWD logging while drilling. And anytime I hear about something that goes down hole, I always wonder how that affects MWD and LWD. Roman, could you kind of tell me a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah, I can speak to that. So earlier I mentioned that there are quite a few different friction reduction tools on the market. And most of these tools rely on the principle of generating force by restricting flow inside the drill pipe. And any MWD hand will tell you that for a signal from their tool to reach the surface, there shouldn't be any changes in the geometry inside the drill pipe. So anything that somehow impedes or restricts that pressure signal will definitely have a negative bearing on the signal quality. While most of the friction reduction tools rely on the principle of restricting and opening the flow, thereby causing this deflection of the signal, the ZP tool, the zero pressure tool that we are going to roll out very soon, is basically free of that flow restriction. And at any given point in time, this MWD signal should be able to reach the surface without any issues, which makes us very positive and confident in they still being more MWD friendly. So hopefully we'll see more of this feedback from the field, and that's where we stand. Yeah, that's how different and unique this ZP technology is.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And what frequency does it work on?
Right. So we wanted to make sure that we steer clear of MWD decoding bandwidth to make sure we don't, clash with their frequencies. So we use a multi-low power section to generate anywhere between 8 to 12 hertz. And yeah, that means for every single second, we generate anywhere between 8 to 12 pretty powerful axial blows.
Wow.
That helps us break static friction.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's cool with new products, and I love having some of our long-term legacy products on here as well, but with a new product, it's new to the market, and I always like to ask the question, how do we know it works? Danny, can you tell us, how do we know?
Yes, that is the most exciting part, right? So our engineering team has done an excellent job bringing this technology to life. We created or we built a few prototypes, and we always start our testing at our Earth Center facility. We have a lateral drilling rig in there where we can put our tools, load them up with actual weight, RPMs, and we actually drill through some concrete blocks that we can put granite, different rock strengths to really challenge the tool. So we had multiple hours and days on that lateral drilling test or rig. We also brought them up here to Navasota to a rig. So obviously we have these world-class testing facilities, and we're making full use of them. In these two first set of tests, the technology worked flawlessly. Wow. It was great to see it in action. And then tearing down the technology, we actually see that the internals of the tool were doing very, very good. Oh. We also took it to Catoosa for a few days. It's another testing facility in Oklahoma. And that kind of shows the attitude of NOV and Downhole as a business unit to invest in these technologies. We want to learn about how they work, and we want to reduce as much risk as possible from the technology before we take them out to the rig in real life operation with customers. Now, after all that, the tests were great. Again, everything worked as expected. So we started engaging some customers for some field trials. And we actually, to date, I can proudly say that we have over 14 runs in actual rigs in West Texas and other places in the U.S. And as we speak, we have about 3 tools deployed to the field. And one of them actually should be going in the hole in the next few days. I would like to highlight that in every one of these tests and every one of these runs, we've always surface tested the technology to make sure that the zero pressure across the tool that we claim is checked. So we've checked that box. And a lot of people didn't believe it. A lot of people is still skeptical. How do you do it? It's good to say, to be able to say that we made it. And now it's just a matter of pushing it out there and see, see how our customers react to it.
Right. That's what I love about asking the question, how will this work when it's an NOV technology, is I usually am pretty confident that will be the similar answer, which is, well, because we've tested it and we know it works.
We did our homework. We sure did.
That's right.
So on top of our good design, we have a very good testing program.
Absolutely. And another thing that we talk about pretty often on the show, and I think it's on a lot of people's mind, is carbon emissions and carbon reduction. So can you talk a little bit about how the AgitatorZP aligns with kind of NOV's effort in that area?
Absolutely. This zero pressure tool, as per the name, zero pressure, we're actually saving resources. When you put a tool in the string that has an ID restriction and generates 500 to 600 PSI, in some customers up to 750, 800 PSI, you're obviously making all the surface equipment, the mud pumps, working way, way harder, right? That requires more diesel. It requires more energy resources that, as we're all very conscious about now, we need to reduce. So what the Agitator Zero Pressure does, it gives you the same friction reduction power and force at very little cost in terms of rig resources. So, the rig can run multiple tools, not using as many resources, less fuel consumption, and definitely a much cleaner option for the environment. Not just as a commitment from NOV, but there's also a lot of requirements on our customers that they need to reduce their footprint as well, carbon emissions, right? So
Right.
I think everybody's goals are aligned, and this technology, takes us to that next level, which is great.
Right. Yeah, I love technology advancements like this because it's not always has to be a new energy source or a whole new space. Sometimes it's improving, the energy sources we already get, like oil and gas, and making these improvements that change it significantly, but in that same space. So I think that's really excellent.
I think so. It's improving the efficiency of the technology itself
Exactly.
without compromising on reliability and performance. And
Right.
that was our goal, and I think we've achieved it. Now we just need to see it out there.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, and I wanted to kind of go back to that trivia question before we leave people, but because I think it kind of goes with this that we're doing, all these testing, we've done all of these, we're out in the field and all of our other agitators as well. So I want to read that trivia question again. If you played along online and you commented, this is where you'll see if you got that right. And I was excited when we did this trivia question because I knew the answer going into it, which was exciting. I don't always know them, but this one I got to know. So that question again was, what significant milestone did Agitator just reach? And would either of y'all like to reveal the answer? Roman?
Yes, it's 100,000 run milestone, which is an incredible feat. But with that, we realize that it's honor and responsibility, and it's a privilege to have accomplished that. With this 100,000 run milestone comes a huge work, effort, time, money invested from multiple people across multiple divisions, time zones. We're just happy to be part of it. We're happy to be a part of our customers' drilling program. And we look forward to many more milestones like this ahead of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, just to add to that, we would like to thank all our customers for their continued support and loyalty, and we're here to help them out. And like Roman said, take it to the next level. And of course, thank you to all the NOV employees involved in this huge success, because it's not, it has to be highlighted.
I love that. I love that attitude. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I would echo that same thanks to the team, and congratulations as well. And speaking of privileges, it's been a privilege and an honor to have you all on the show today. So thank you so much for joining us and answering some of my questions, even the maybe more crazy out there ones. So I appreciate it so much, and come back anytime. And for those watching online, thank you for tuning in as well. This has been a great episode, and look forward to seeing everybody in the comment section. My name is Shelby Dumaine. I've been your host today. We had Danny Perez and Roman Che, and I want to thank our production team as well for all the hard work that they put into every show. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.